My name is Melissa and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. I am so happy to have you. But today I'm going to be talking about cozy fantasies. I've spent the majority of week and a half reading said genre. So let's talk about those books. Cozy fantasy is a subgenre that I have seen everywhere. And to be honest, it took me a little while to convince myself, let's read this. I ended up having to, do a little bit of research, watch a couple of vlogs, check out Goodreads, and figure out which ones that I personally wanted to read. So I ended up picking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 books up. I'm actually in the middle of the last one currently. So let's talk about the books that I have read. The very first book that I picked up for the cozy fantasy vibes was Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater. This is a Regency fantasy, cozy fantasy romance. So that if that doesn't sell you on it, I don't know what will. I picked up this book not really knowing what to expect. I ended up doing the audiobook through Spotify and perfection. I didn't even crack this book open. I just listened to it the whole way through in a day because I was obsessed. So this book, like I said, it's a Regency fantasy romance. Our main character, when she's a child, she's out with her cousin doing something outside. Needless to say, she runs into a fae who decides that he's going to make good on her mother's promise that her child would be his. So she ends up getting saved by her cousin with a pair of iron scissors, and something happens to her where half of her soul is taken by the fae. So she ends up has very little emotions and attachments to what's going around her. She does love her cousin immensely, and her cousin loves her. So they end up, it's a Regency, so there's balls and all these things. Her aunt decides that it is time for her cousin to go out into society. So they go to London. Like I said, there's balls, there's magic, there's a magician. Fabulous. And I just loved this. It was just low stakes, which cozy fantasy, hello. Fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. We have the OG Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldery. This is the book that I feel like when you think of cozy fantasy, you think of this. It is a very well-known book and I did enjoy it. It just, I don't know, I felt like I wanted more of the world building. This is definitely very cozy. You have main character who is an orc and she was a mercenary. She decides to put down her sword and she does a bit of research figuring out where she's going to start a coffee shop. And this was fabulous. The found family aspect of this I really enjoyed. All of the side characters pretty much made this book for me. I loved the baker. Her first friend, I believe it is Cal, he helps her build and renovate, that's the word I'm trying to say, renovate the space that she is making into the coffee shop. Then you have, oh, I forgot her name, but the succubus who is like her partner in this coffee shop, and all of the other people who come and become a part of this family. And it is so lovely and cozy. I wanted a bit more of the world building. I felt like it could have had so much. It could have been a 5 stars if it had that. But definitely one to pick up if you love coffee, if you loved baked goods. So many times I was like reading this and it was late at night and I was just like, I want a coffee. I want a latte right now and a baked scone or something. I don't even eat scones. but I wanted it. We have my favorite book that I've read so far, and that is The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst. I gave this book a whole 5 stars. I tabbed the heck out of this book. I annotated, I loved it. When I think of cozy fantasy, this is the book that I want. And I want more of this. So our main character, she is a librarian, and her assistant is a sentient spider plant. Okay, what more can you ask for? So in the beginning of the book, something happens. There's a coup, and she has to evacuate the library, and she ends up saving a collection of books and going back to her home island that's at the far reaches of like this nation or whatever. And she gets there, and she's trying to start a new life, and she's having a hard time doing it just by herself. So she ends up going to town, making friends, trusting people. The magic in this was just so fabulous. She does a bunch of research. Her sentient plant is just, oh my gosh, whenever there's a side character like that, it's an immediate 5 stars. I just loved it. And yeah, needless to say, so cozy, so wonderful, low stakes. It's just, I just want to go back. I want to revisit this book again and just live there, basically. I just finished this book this morning, The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. This definitely was in the same vein as The House by the Cerulean Sea, but it just didn't quite hit like that one did for me personally. But it was so cute with the found family. The children were my favorite. This book follows our main character. She's a witch, and in this world, a witch that is born right after their parents will pass away. So she is adopted by another witch and basically kept like away from people her whole life. She's been taught that getting near other witches will be bad and bad things will happen, etc, etc. But needless to say, she gets in contact with a gentleman who says, I need your help to basically teach 3 young witches to learn their powers, and it was so cute. So she ends up taking this job, and she basically becomes the tutor of the witches, and oh my gosh, the children were so cute, and it definitely just had that kind of vibe as that other book, and that's what I really loved. There is a romance. There is like one spicy scene, which I was not expecting, but it was cute either way. So, you know, just be aware of that, because that was like a surprise. Not that I didn't like it, but it wasn't like the cozy fun times that I had with the other books. I did like the romance. You definitely have that grumpy sunshine, and the male main character is a librarian, so you have that, and I did enjoy that part. But needless to say, I gave this book 4 stars. I did enjoy it. It just wasn't The House by the Cerulean Sea. I can never say that book. And of course, we have Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. I am currently in the middle of listening to this audiobook since it does have footnotes. Not the biggest fan of that, but if I'm listening to it, it works out so well.
I've grown rather fond of it. Your blood is too thin.
And we are here with another footnote. This is why I liked the audiobook, because it just kind of like seamlessly is there, and I am not a fan of footnotes in books, but I'm gonna truck through this and hopefully get this finished soon. After a bunch of to-do with the audiobook of Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, I finally finished it. This was a very hyped book, and I get it, but in my opinion, this felt a bit choppy. It is written in a journal style that our main character, Emily Wilde, is writing in the process to make her book about fairies. So it did feel like we would stop abruptly and end up somewhere else, and it was a bit jarring in that way. But I did give this book 3 stars. It wasn't bad. I just don't know if I'm going to continue on with this particular series, which is such a bummer because the covers on all of these editions, gorgeous. But needless to say, it's not always about what's on the cover. Our love interest was just something else, and I just wasn't a big fan of him having like escapades when she was in the same cottage. I thought that was so weird. But anyways, that like cheating, or that type of like not cheating but partaking in dalliances when you're interested in someone else is not something I particularly enjoy reading about. So that kind of docked a little bit of my enjoyment of this. Anyways, so I appreciate you so much for sticking around if you finished this video. It's a different style of video that I'm giving a try, so hopefully it ends up well when I start to edit it. But if you read any of these books or have any thoughts or opinions, recommendations for me, I would love to chat about it, talk about it in the comments down below. And I hope you have a great day and happy reading. Bye!